All right, everyone. So we're just going to do a little bit of review of taxonomy. I know this is kind of a unit that a lot of people are struggling with in Odysseyware, so I just wanted to go over some of just the basics, go through this slideshow for you guys. Watch this video of me going through it. And then there's I mistyped in here. It's a Google form attached to this in Google Classroom. So when you complete that, those will be extra credit points if you complete it well and properly. And those extra credit points will go into Odysseyware with where you took the taxonomy quiz. All right. So first of all, what is taxonomy, right? It's kind of a strange word that sounds like taxes maybe, right? Which isn't really related to science. So what taxonomy is, this is how scientists organize all living organisms into related groups. And then they give those organisms a specific scientific name. Okay. So first you're going to classify the living organisms, and then you're going to name those specific organisms. So classification is just how we separate large groups into smaller subgroups, right? So if you think of Kansas City Public Schools, okay, within that you have all of the schools, you have all the high schools, and within all of those high schools, right, you have, Central High School, East High School, and then even within those high schools, you have smaller subgroups, right? You have 12th grade, 10th, 11th, and 9th grade, right? So you're just grouping things into similar groups, right? So you can see on here, starting at the top, this is just how scientists group things. You're probably familiar with this. It's pretty common in like middle school science to use this and to look at this. So it starts at the top very broad, right? We start with life. As long as it is alive, then it is part of science or part of biology. And so we're going to classify it. Then you work all the way down until you get super, super specific at species. Okay? So at the top of this spectrum, it's more broad, meaning that it contains more things. And then once you get towards the bottom is when you get really specific. So I've got a little bit of an example here that you can pause and kind of look over this, but it just shows the names, the categorization from starting at the top of that spectrum. We just looked at all the way to the bottom. So you can kind of see which ones of these are the most similar, right? And that would be the Triceratops and the humans, because all three of these are Animalia, but the Triceratops and the human also share chordata, okay? So in addition to classifying, we also are going to name things. So scientific naming is where you give the organisms a unique scientific name. So that way, when you're talking about the organism, you know exactly what you're talking about, right? You're not just talking about dogs, because what could dogs be, right? There's different breeds of dogs, there's wild dogs, okay? So if you use the specific scientific name, then no matter what language you're speaking, no matter what time, you know exactly what is being talked about. So this is a really good example. So this picture that you see right here, right, I would call that a mountain lion. Other people might call it a cougar or a puma. So it's the same animal, but we use different names depending on where you live. So if you use the scientific name, Puma concolor, if you use that specific name, then you know exactly what animal is being talked about, okay? So definitely read through this a little bit more too. It just talks about how, scientists use, if you try and use physical characteristics to classify something, you might describe those different, right? What someone might consider a light brown, someone else might consider a dark blonde, if you're talking about hair color. So giving it a specific scientific name makes it very clear. All right, so now complete the Google form attached to this, right, to get those extra credit points where you're actually going to apply this material. Use the slides attached to this to go back through things. As always, email me or text or call me if you have any questions. If you need any clarification on this, put a comment down below and let me know. Thanks, guys.